It was a very fascinating time in America.
You realize somebody small could take down something so big as the American presidency. That's a remarkable tale.
Everything is on the line.
You're getting a real personal sense of history as opposed to just the big blanket statement of what happened. You're ripping down the wall of myth.
One more time.
Just doing that research in America at that time of a very, very discontented population. The weathermen, bombs were going off. There were huge demonstrations by young people about the Vietnam War. The country was in turmoil. Nixon saw enemies everywhere, which ultimately aided and abetted his downfall.
For over 30 years, the identity of Deep Throat had been America's greatest political mystery. When Mark Felt confessed in 2005, I remember distinctly that there was a loud, anticlimactic shrug. He was running the FBI, but nobody knew who that was. And it was because of that that I realized it was a great story.
Come on.
And I felt an incredible urgency to write that screenplay. I gave this script to Ridley Scott, who's my producer. And he told me, you know, if you don't make it, I will. And that's how it came to fruition.
And cut. Good.
Casting Liam Neeson was simple, actually. I mean, Ridley and I had conversations, but it was the first name that came up. And we had a cup of coffee in the Four Seasons, and 10 minutes later, he was doing the movie.
There was a lot of stuff. I had a researcher compiled everything from basic FBI files, DVDs of interviews with Felt, certain programs about Watergate. He was kind of inscrutable, and I thought that would be interesting to play someone who has a poker player's attitude. You just cannot read what's going on there. And had this wonderful mane of silver hair. He wore immaculate, impeccable suits. And that informed me too as an actor in preparing for the role. We were treading that very delicate tightrope of what to show and what not to show. And then there's a point in the film that I think is a release for the audience, and for me too, is when he finds his daughter, and then he can show his true emotions.
The attention to detail in a period piece is always important, but when you actually inhabit it, it really does change you.
It does all the work for you, for your imagination. I put on clothes like this, or a lovely tie like this, a nice long collar, and you're back in 1972.
This is almost, if not exactly, what the FBI looked like, down to those paintings, down to the design, down to the walls behind Kunkel's office behind us, down to, like, you know, these rooms that look like extraordinary recreations and also have an artfulness to them, too.
I was always kind of interested in having the FBI office really be kind of more about form and shape and light and dark.
That's how I felt he saw the world, you know, subjectively, as a kind of cool, shadowy place. A lot of light and dark, almost a binary world of good and evil.
At that point in time, the FBI was located in the Department of Justice building. So we went to see it, and it was a very plain, simple office that it's almost like a tomb. It's very tall, has one window in it and two doors. And his secretary was on the side. So we've kept that relationship.
We had period typewriters and period telephones. We had to find period trash cans and pens. You know, we had to pay attention to that. Really, all the little details.
It's a very important story to tell. The free press have to be allowed to examine the facts, get hold of the facts, and our leaders have to be held accountable. The President of the United States is not above the law.
There's always greed and corruption among the powerful. There's always integrity and self-sacrifice among the foot soldiers in our government. This dynamic exists all over the world all the time. This story has great universality. The fact that it intersects this time and period is pure coincidence, as universal and as any time. It's undeniable how it reflects what's going on today. Heroism isn't about wearing tights and throwing on a cape and flying off into the sunset in a superhero movie. Superheroes actually are very quiet and die often anonymously. And I want Felt to be given his proper place in history.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. But as president, I must put the interests of America first.
アメリカ史上最大の政治スキャンダル、ウォーターゲート事件。
5 men were caught early this morning in the Washington headquarters of the Democratic National Committee.
Who do you think gave the orders to bug the Watergate?
The men who broke into the Watergate are not the end of this thing, but the beginning.
事件の闇に迫ったのはこの男だった。
What about the president?
No more interviews with White House people without permission.
What?
We put the investigation to bed in 2 days.
Washington Post.
This comes from classified FBI files. The White House has it, and now you have it. The truth could ruin the administration.
Is the president lying?
They're all lying.
What you're doing will bring down the whole house of cards. You know everything.
No one can stop the driving force of an FBI investigation.
There's a spy in the FBI.
The White House is gonna sanitize the entire town.
史上最も影響を与えた内部告発者はホワイトハウスにどう挑んだのか。
Watergate, just the gateway.
ザ・シークレットマン。